Hello, welcome to Easy English. So today, I'm on the beach to find out how important mental health is to Brits and how they maintain it. Let's go. How do you look after your mental health?
Well, you caught me here on my lunchtime walk, which I use for my mental health. I work at home, as a lot of people are. I'm sitting in front of a computer for 8 hours a day in my bedroom. So to stop me bouncing off the walls of that bedroom, I realise I need to get outside, even if it's just quarter of an hour, half an hour, an hour. Sometimes I forget, and by Wednesday I'm snapping at the children. I'm not a nice person, so I try and get out on this lovely walk. We live in a wonderful place by the sea, and just having a stroll on just clears your head, lets your thoughts drift away a bit, and that I find really helps.
The best way for me to manage mental health is to make sure I'm doing a bit of exercise. So I'm eating well, I'm doing exercise, and I'm keeping in contact with the people that I love. So whether it's messaging or meeting up with for coffee, some friends or family.
How do you maintain your mental health?
It's a very good question. I think as you get older, and I'm well over 60, I think as you get older, your brain needs more and more exercise. So the fact that you're teaching foreign languages, I think is brilliant for anyone at any age to consider, but especially the over 50s and 60s, because it has been proven over and over again that learning a new skill can actually help prevent your memory really deteriorating.
How do you look after your mental health?
So for me, I think, so my job's quite stressful, first and foremost, so I'm quite big on having a separation between my professional life and my personal life, particularly in the last 12 months when I've had to work from home every day. Having that distinction between professional and personal has been quite important to me. And also I exercise quite a lot. I do find that if I've gone a week or two without doing too much exercise, I'm sure you'll vouch for this, my mood starts to sort of, I go within myself a little bit, and then I think it's only from experience that I now realise that that's like the trigger.
I think for me the two most important things that I've identified that keep me healthy is my physical health and being active and having some sort of hobby that I can get my teeth into and have targets and things like that and measure progress, and see that there's some kind of relevance and usefulness to my time being spent. I think that's quite good. And the other one is relationships and people around me. So my partner and friends and things like that. I think that's also time that's well spent and valuable to us as individuals for our own health.
I'd say talking about it to, someone you're comfortable with is the nicest way, I'd say. Like if one of us is struggling, we just kind of tell each other and the other can help. What would you say?
Yeah, just talk to people and be honest with the closest you have. Yes,
like family or friends?
Yeah, family, friends, girlfriend or boyfriend, just talk.
Right. Well, I think there are a number of aspects to it. One connected with where I am at the moment is the physical side of it, and through walking on a regular basis. But that entails also sometimes being with a group of people and engaging in conversation, everyday conversation. Yeah. And that to some people who live alone, I don't actually live alone. I've been happily married for nearly 50 years, but a lot of people who come on these walks do live alone, spend a lot of time alone, but something like a health walk gives folk the opportunity to come out and meet other people on a regular basis and combine physical and mental activity.
I'm a bit more of the look after the little things. So for me, I have a bath every day, like completely on my own, put on candles and just sit at whatever time that is. And sometimes that's at like 8 o'clock in the morning, sometimes it's at lunchtime.
Yeah, very Blanche de Bois.
Yeah, and sometimes it's late at night. And I think as well, I'm very open about how I feel about things. So if I'm, if I'm feeling low, I'll talk to my friends about it, or you, or my family. And again, I've been quite fortunate. I think being open with it has really helped generally. And yeah, I think the little things, like for example, my favourite tea in the world is jacket potato. So if I have a day where I feel rubbish, I go home, I have a bath, have a jacket potato, and just take some time just on my own.
This video is sponsored by Italki, the site that allows you to find online language teachers for one-on-one tutoring. As a new user, you'll get $10 in Italki credits after your first lesson if you register using the link go.italki.com/easy English. If you don't like reading complicated language books or listening to pre-recorded audio courses, then Italki is for you. You'll get to practice your conversational skills under different real-world scenarios, as speaking with humans is the best way to learn a language. You can customize your lessons to cater for your learning needs and interests, and the one-on-one lessons provide you undivided attention with teachers at your preferred time, whether you're at home, at the airport, or at your local park. You have complete access. So head on over to Italki with this link, www.go.italki.com/easy English, to start your first lesson and get $10 in lesson credits. What would you prioritize more? Do you see physical health being the more priority for you, or mental health?
Oh, that's so difficult. Well, I think one leads to the other. I don't think you can have good mental health without physical health. And I don't think, and I'm no expert, although I am a qualified nutritionist, I don't think there is anything better than a walk by the sea in fresh air. And, if you're stressed, we're all stressed. Everybody is feeling despondent at the moment. It's not. We've had a very unhappy time for nearly 18 months. So we're all suffering from some sort of mental downturn. And I think that every expert would agree that the more exercise you can do, preferably out in nature, the better you'll feel. So I think one can't go without the other.
Yeah. Okay, and I have one more question.
And plenty of sleep.
And sleep, yeah, that is super important. Why include walking in this? Like, why are you not just meeting in like a building or something? What's the physical? Why is there a physical element?
Very good. Well, there are some people who like sitting down in pubs and coffee lounges, and there are others who like to be a bit more dynamic as they're engaging. And I think most people like the combination of the physical and the mental.
And is there a correlation between mental health and physical health, you think?
Well, I think there is. Yes, that they do go along with each other, and maybe one causes a bit more of the other, and vice versa.
How important do you find your mental health compared to, say, something like your physical health? Is
I'd
it on
say,
a par, or is it more important?
I'd say more. I think because if you've got a broken leg, you can go to the doctor, but it's kind of more difficult to, kind of tell someone how you're feeling and make them understand that it's not just like, you're a bit sad.
Interesting you mentioned about the work-life kind of divide.
Yeah.
Because I think this is actually quite a big one for most people. How have you managed to sort of separate it?
Yeah, so it's been quite difficult. I think when I was going into the office, you leave, and ultimately occasionally I might log on later on, but it'd be few and far between. Whereas now it's so easy to just, I'm on my laptop, I go and have dinner, come back and I'm still on my laptop, and that delineation between personal and your personal life and professional life is quite hard to maintain. Yeah. But I think since it's sort of setting your own boundaries, I think. It's like, I'm not going to do any more tonight. My laptop's going away. Yeah. And there is a distinction between I'm now not at work, even though I'm most likely sat in the exact same seat that I've been sat in for the remainder of the day.
So you physically put away things?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Deter yourself?
Yes, I do actually,
don't I? We set times, don't we?
Yeah.
We set times for like first cocktail or whatever on a Friday night at this time.
Exactly, yeah.
Like just really small things?
Yeah, I do. I put my laptops like on the desk fold up. You get so annoyed with me. Fold up the chargers, put them into a drawer so they are physically out of sight, out of mind. Key. Yeah, yeah.
It's talking about mental health, something that you've, it's kind of become a new thing in England, really, and it's always kind of, there's been more light shed on it, right? But have you always felt that you're able to speak about it quite openly?
Yeah, I think because I've always had quite open parents, we've been securely brought up. I've never had an issue with mental health myself, apart from just feeling a little bit down every now and then, more from tiredness, I think. But yeah, I can speak openly about it, and I was teaching in Mexico, and we did mindfulness with my children who were between the ages of 5 and 8, and we openly spoke about mental health over there as well. So I think it's something that you can speak, if you speak openly about it with other people, then they'll be honest and open about it with you.
All right, and would that kind of be your advice to someone who maybe, because I know that in England there's a big thing with like men. This is like the big problem that men can't. It's hard for men to find the outlet to deal with it, right?
Yeah.
Is that kind of advice that you give? Like, focus on the physical health? Is that a big part of it?
Well, yeah. I think for me, if I'm looking after my physical health, then my mental health seems better. I seem happier, more rested. Sleep's a massive part of it as well. So if you're rested and sleeping, then you're feeling better. I'm just focusing on sleep because I've got a new baby, so that's the most important thing, I think. Get some sleep, exercise, speak to people you love.
Well, what is it about men? Let's start with that you think makes like mental health such a faux pas compared to women?
Nice, easy question for me.
Well, in your opinion, why is it such like a struggle for men to get involved in mental health?
I think it's probably just our culture and the way we're brought up, and I have seen in my lifetime that changing for the better, where men are encouraged to be more expressive and more vulnerable with their feelings. But I was born in the 60s, and growing up through the sort of 70s, 80s era, men were kind of discouraged, or boys were discouraged from crying even. Whereas I think now men are almost encouraged to do that by, iconic masculine men on podcasts and TV programs and that. We're kind of seeing a more, what I probably would have described in the past as a European approach to raising boys and men, as opposed to a stiff upper lip British way of doing it, where it's all about stifling your emotions and pretending they don't exist. Now we're addressing them and we're free to express them, and I think that is a healthier way for two reasons. One, people get a good positive example of how to behave, and two, we can actually identify in our loved ones and our friends if something's not quite right. Whereas if they hide it and bury it, we don't get an opportunity to do that. And sadly, it's too late for some people before we can identify and step in and help.
What advice would you give to more men who maybe there's more of a tradition to sort of swallow your feelings, and it's a bit. It seems there's a change, but still there are men who are still not quite finding ways or finding outlets to deal with their mental health.
Yeah, I'd say that. Yeah, a lot of it's kind of your upbringing, depending on what age you're at. I'm hoping younger men are getting better at it. I don't know. I'm not a younger man, but my generation and above, yes, we do struggle talking. But I think do not go out with the intention of saying I'm going to talk about mental health problems. Just talk, and even if it's just about you're watching something or you're just talking about nonsense, that is effectively helping your mental health. So don't try and put a specific box around this conversation. Just talk, which is difficult in the last year or so because we haven't been able to meet up, and doing things on Zoom calls or by phone is challenging. But where possible, just meet up with people and talk. Don't put a label on it. I think that would probably help me.
Yeah, I really don't know. I have gone out of my way in certain ways to say you can chat about that sort of stuff, but I think it's different to me providing an offer that probably will never be taken up, to them actually thinking that's a genuine thing that they can.
Is it about doing something like you do? You run or whatever, or play football? Is that like...
Yeah, I suppose it doesn't necessarily have to always be verbal, does it?
But maybe I'm saying, like, is that a way to bring out the verbal side of doing something? You know what I mean?
Yeah, to be fair,
men are such hobbyists.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
It's so true. My oldest friend, whenever we meet up, we'll like go for a jog together or whatever, and that is where we'll have a chat. Like historically, when we're talking about, I don't know, like girls or whatever, when we were younger.
I'm sure you still talk.
How old are you?
No, but you know what I mean. When he was like, "Oh, do you like fancy this girl or whatever?" But then it'd open up like a more of a deeper chat.
Yeah.
And that would always be facilitated by us, like playing football together, just like the two of us, or going for a jog, or going for a walk. Even it is just like, it's hard to say, "Do you want to come for a chat?"
Yeah. Weirdly,
whereas, "Do you want to come?"
Even though it shouldn't be.
No, I know, but do you want to come and play football? Yes, and then we'll end up chatting and we'll just be kicking the ball and not really concentrating about that. Exactly. And the other thing that I think is difficult with men as well, and I find this particularly because I love going to the pub as well, but all the kind of social occasions that we have revolve around alcohol, which in itself is not a particularly healthy environment for talking about emotions or mental health or anything like that. And I think it's quite difficult to move away from that, because that's what we've always done, is we'll go to the pub and then you'll start talking about football, it'll be on the screen or whatever, and you don't actually end up talking about things that are on the front of people's minds.
We're all individuals and we all tick differently, I think. I think first and foremost, I would just encourage everybody to trust and believe that it's okay to have emotions. They are completely natural and normal. And to show them is okay. You know, nowadays society doesn't look negatively at a man feeling upset or depressed or crying or asking for help. So it's totally fine to do that. It is okay to do that. And I encourage everybody to do that. In terms of what would be the best outlet for people, I think that's an individual thing. You know, like I say, I thrive on physical activity, and that really helps me to keep a balance. But for others, you know, it could be anything, right? It could be creativity, or it could be talking to somebody, or it could be just getting better and more sleep, who knows. But I would encourage everybody to feel comfortable with expressing yourself to somebody, even if it's like a GP. If you've got no family or friends you want to speak to, talk to a GP, or, you know, talk to a counsellor, or talk to the Samaritans. There's a wide range of avenues to go down. Definitely, it's okay to talk. That's my main message.
Thanks for watching this week's episode. Let me know in the comments below how you maintain your mental health and what advice you'd give to someone. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Listen to podcasts. Listen to people who can really help you mentally and physically. Don't compare yourself to other people. You're unique. And what's important is what's inside, up here, and all your organs. What's outside really doesn't matter. It's all going to go downwards one day anyway.